Chapter 39. Joseph's service with Potiphar, his purity and imprisonment. And Jacob lived in the land of his forefathers, the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph was 17 years old when they brought him down into the land of Egypt, and Potiphar, a eunuch of Pharaoh and the chief cook, bought him. He put Joseph over his entire household, and the blessing of the Lord came upon the Egyptian's house because of Joseph, and the Lord caused everything he did to prosper. The Egyptian trusted Joseph with everything, for he saw that the Lord was with him and blessed all his work. Joseph was handsome and very good-looking, and his master's wife noticed him. She desired him and begged him to sleep with her. But he didn't give in. He remembered the Lord and the words his father Jacob used to read from Abraham's teachings, that no man should commit adultery with another man's wife. The punishment for that was death, already declared in heaven before the Most High, and the sin would be recorded in the eternal books before the Lord. Joseph remembered and refused her. She pursued him for a full year, but he would not listen to her. One day she grabbed him in the house and tried to force him. She locked the doors and held him tightly, but he left his garment in her hands and fled out the door. Your Hebrew servant, the one you love, tried to force himself on me. When I screamed, he fled, leaving his garment in my hands, Potiphar's wife told Potiphar. The Egyptian saw Joseph's garment, the broken door, and heard his wife's accusation. He threw Joseph into prison, the same place where the king's prisoners were kept. But the Lord gave Joseph favor with the chief prison guard, who saw that the Lord was with him and made all his work succeed. The chief put everything under Joseph's care. He didn't even keep track of what Joseph was managing, because Joseph handled it all, and the Lord blessed it. Joseph remained there for 2 years. During that time Pharaoh was angry with 2 of his servants, the chief butler and the chief baker, and he imprisoned them in the house of the chief cook, the same prison where Joseph was. The prison chief assigned Joseph to serve them, and he did. Both the butler and baker had dreams, and they told them to Joseph. Joseph interpreted the dreams, and things turned out exactly as he said. Pharaoh restored the butler to his position, and the baker was executed. But the butler forgot all about Joseph, even though he had promised to tell Pharaoh. He just forgot. Chapter 40. Pharaoh's dreams, Joseph's rise, and marriage. During those days Pharaoh had 2 dreams, in one night about a coming famine in the land. He woke up and called all the magicians and dream interpreters in Egypt, but none could explain his dreams. Then the chief butler remembered Joseph and told Pharaoh about him. Pharaoh brought Joseph out of prison, and Joseph heard both dreams. He said, "Your 2 dreams are one. There will be 7 years of great abundance across Egypt, followed by 7 years of severe famine like nothing seen before." Joseph advised Pharaoh to appoint overseers to gather and store food during the plentiful years, so there would be supplies during the famine and the land wouldn't be destroyed. The Lord gave Joseph favor in Pharaoh's eyes, and Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find anyone as wise and discerning as this man? The Spirit of God is with him." So Pharaoh made Joseph second in command over all of Egypt and gave him authority over the entire kingdom. He rode in Pharaoh's 2nd chariot. Pharaoh clothed him in fine linen and placed a gold chain around his neck. A herald proclaimed before him, and Pharaoh gave him a ring, put him over his entire house, and said, "Only on the throne will I be greater than you." Joseph ruled over the land of Egypt. All of Pharaoh's officials and workers respected him, for he judged fairly without arrogance, favoritism, or bribes. Because of Joseph, Egypt was at peace. The Lord gave him favor and mercy for all generations, and Pharaoh's kingdom was well governed, free from evil or corruption. Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphenath-Paneah and gave him a wife, the daughter of Potiphar, a priest in Heliopolis. Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh. That same year Isaac died. Just as Joseph said, the land had 7 years of abundance. Crops produced beyond measure, one measure yielding 1,800. Joseph stored food in every city until they could no longer count it. It was so abundant. Chapter 41. Judah, Tamar, and Forgiveness. In the appointed time, Judah arranged a marriage for his firstborn son, He chose a woman named Tamar from the daughters of Aram. But hated her and refused to sleep with her because his mother was from the daughters of Canaan, and he wanted a wife from his mother's family. Judah didn't allow it. Was wicked, and the Lord took his life. Then Judah said to Onan, his second son, "Go into your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to raise up children for your brother." Onan knew the child would not be his, so when he slept with her, he spilled his seed on the ground. That was evil in the Lord's eyes, and he took Onan's life too. Judah told Tamar, "Stay in your father's house as a widow until my son Shelah grows up." But when Shelah did grow up, Judah's wife Bethuel prevented the marriage. In time Judah's wife died, and later Judah went up to Timnah to shear his sheep. Tamar heard this and removed her widow's clothing. She dressed herself, veiled her face, and waited along the road to Timnah. Judah saw her and thought she was a prostitute. He approached her and said, "Let me be with you." She agreed. She asked for payment. He said he had nothing with him but his ring, necklace, and staff. She accepted them as a pledge until he sent her a goat. He slept with her, and she conceived. She returned home, and Judah sent his servant with the goat to find her, but no one knew her. They said, "There is no prostitute here." The servant returned to Judah and said he couldn't find her. Judah said, "Let her keep the items, otherwise we'll be mocked." 3 months later it became known Tamar was pregnant. Judah said, "Bring her out and let her be burned." As they brought her out, she sent Judah the ring, necklace, and staff, and said, "The man who owns these is the father of my child." Judah recognized them and said, "Tamar is more righteous than I am," so they didn't burn her. She wasn't given to Shelah, and Judah never approached her again. Tamar gave birth to twins, Perez and Zerah. This marked the end of the 7 years of plenty Joseph had spoken of. Judah acknowledged his sin and felt deep shame for sleeping with his daughter-in-law. He began to grieve and pray for forgiveness. In a dream he was told he had been forgiven because he repented and never did it again. He was forgiven because he turned from his ignorance and sin. And the command was given to Israel: anyone who lies with his daughter-in-law or mother-in-law commits a grave sin and must be burned with fire, both man and woman, to remove pollution from the land and turn away God's wrath. We told Judah that his 2 sons had not slept with Tamar, and for this reason his lineage was preserved for another generation and not wiped out. Because he had sought righteous judgment according to Abraham's command to his sons, his line was spared. This concludes chapter 39, 40 and 41 of the Book of Jubilees. Remember to subscribe and join me tomorrow for the next chapters, as we keep walking through all 50 chapters of the Book of Jubilees.